you got this one too. This one's called. Wait. DDG and Black Boy Mac situation. What in the world? Bro, it is hot. I ain't gonna lie. It's hot. I actually was talking about what really happened to Lauryn Hill. I never really dived deep into her music. I might just see what it's talking about.
The waxy residue on your rhyme style is ridiculous. If you're misogynist, then you probably cannot get with this. If you sip with this, we'll leave no witnesses. See, nobody can touch what job bless, and I mean this. So I'll be like Osiris, better get no ISIS. If you talking females, it's to stay it up the nicest.
That right there, that's the talent that changed everything. The first female rapper to win Album of the Year at the Grammys did it on her debut solo album. In the same year, she was being sued by the producers who claimed they wrote it. She swept 5 trophies in one night, landed on the cover of Time magazine, and then walked away from almost everything that came with it. 27 years later, no second studio album, a federal prison sentence.
The 8-time Grammy winner was sentenced to 3 months in prison.
Canceled tours, and yet in 2026, she steps onto a Grammy stage, and the entire room rises to its feet like she never left. Her name is Lauryn Hill. But to understand how a straight-A kid from New Jersey built the most celebrated album in hip-hop history, and then spent the next 3 decades at war with everything it made her, you gotta go back to the beginning, because nothing about this story is simple. Lauryn Noel Hill was born May 26, 1975, in East Orange, New Jersey, a small city just outside Newark that punches well above its weight in terms of the talent it produces. Her household is musical, her parents are educated, and from the time she's old enough to be assessed, every teacher she has says the same thing. This kid is built different.
You know, and if it was academics, if it was sports, if it was music, if it was dance, whatever it was, I was always driven to do a lot in whatever field or, whatever area I was focusing on at the moment.
She's pulling straight A's all the way through high school, the kind of academic record that gets doors opened before you even knock. At 13, she enters amateur night at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, one of the most cutthroat stages in the world, where crowds boo acts off without a second thought, and she wins. Fam, the girl is 13 years old and already stopping rooms. The acting comes next, a recurring role on As the World Turns in 1991, then Sister Act 2 alongside Whoopi Goldberg in 1993. Columbia University accepts her. From the outside, her whole future looks mapped out. Ivy League degree, acting career, the works. But there are 2 guys from New Jersey she keeps crossing paths with, and they're about to reroute everything. Wyclef Jean and Pras Michel. They are cousins, both Haitian.
Wyclef Jean is tough. He got some hits. For sure. Wait, that's his cousins? Do I know they do?
Reroute everything. Wyclef Jean and Pras Michel. They are cousins, both Haitian American, both raised in New Jersey after immigrating as kids.
Actually, Wyclef, we call each other cousins, but we grew up together back in the church days.
They're already making music together in the early 90s under the name Translator Crew. 2 guys with heavy Caribbean roots trying to find their footing in an American hip-hop landscape that isn't fully sure what to do with them yet. Lauryn crosses their path through school connections in South Orange. She's younger than both of them, still in high school. But the moment she opens her mouth in a room, it becomes obvious she's operating at a completely different level. Wyclef later describes it as watching someone who was simply born to do this.
I saw her in the group, and I was like, man, she's banging. Lauryn was, the whole education of R&B was she had it to a whole nother level that I've never seen.
He starts mentoring her, teaching her to rap, pulling her deeper into the music. What begins as mentorship turns into something far more complicated, but that comes later. The 3 of them rebrand as the Fugees, short for refugees, a nod to Wyclef and Pras's Haitian roots and the broader experience of displacement they were both raised inside. They signed to Rough House / Columbia and put out their debut, Blunted on Reality in 1994. The three of them click immediately. Lauren's voice sitting on top of Wyclef's production in a way that sounds like it was always supposed to exist.
So the Fugees is eclectic because Prize has a certain style of music that he loves, he brings to the table. Lauren has a style, I have a style. And when you put the three, you fuse that together, you definitely get what ended up being that sonics of the Fugees.
By this point, Lauren has quietly shelved the acting career, and when the score starts taking shape in the studio, it becomes clear why. What nobody outside their circle knows, though, is that between Lauren and Wyclef, it goes way deeper than just music. They're in a relationship, volatile, consuming, the kind that makes great art and terrible decisions in equal measure. Wyclef is married. The affair runs through the entire recording of the score, every session carrying the weight of what's happening between them off the mic.
Because of the relationship, it definitely added to a certain emotion that wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Like inside of the score, you can listen it from beginning to end. There's an undertone that you feel going on. You can't really explain it, but your body can react to that.
February 1996, the score drops and hits #1. 22 million copies worldwide, fam. Killing Me Softly is on every radio station on the planet. The Fugees are the biggest group in the world overnight. And right in the middle of all of it, Lauren walks away from Columbia University and chooses music full-time. The world sees a star betting on herself. What the world doesn't see is that everything holding that group together is already starting to crack from the inside. By 1997, the cracks become a fracture.
Are you with child? Don't blush on me now. Actually, yes.
Lauren is pregnant, and Wyclef, still married, still in the middle of...
Whoa. Wait, I was not expecting that. Oh, so they was having an affair. Oh. I thought it was an affair of like good music. I didn't. Dang, buddy. Her singing must have really.
This impossible situation, believes for months that the child is his. The two of them are riding the wave of the score's success publicly, while privately, everything between them is on fire. When Zion is born and the truth comes out that the father is Rohan Marley, Bob Marley's son, something between them
I'm sorry.
dies on the spot.
Was when I was in that hospital. And then I was sitting down thinking that was my baby, you understand? And that's when it struck me that it wasn't.
Wyclef later writes about that moment in his autobiography. He says she could no longer be his muse, that their love spell was broken.
There was nothing in my mind to lead me to not believing
that child was yours.
That it was not mine, right?
The Fugees collapse, the group that bodied every chart in...
But you was married, gang. What are you doing? You was married. Shem. He had kids too? If he had kids, I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy.
1996 and made hip-hop a global conversation falls apart. Not over label disputes, not over creative differences, but over a love triangle that had been burning since before the score was even finished. That's the part that never made the press releases. Lauren is now a new mother, out of a group, and sitting inside the wreckage of a relationship she poured everything into. Columbia is waiting on a follow-up. The industry expects her to move fast and capitalize. Instead, she goes quiet, pulls her son close, and starts writing alone. No Wyclef, no group, just her and whatever she's been carrying. What comes out of that is something nobody on earth was ready for. Lauren builds the miseducation of Lauryn Hill mostly at home, on her own terms, with complete creative control.
To be honest with you, the Miseducation, the entire album started out as me, producing and writing music for other acts. I had all these songs that I had planned to give away, to other people, till I realized, wow, this is about me, and this is real personal.
Just her sitting inside everything she'd been through and turning it into music. Every track on that album is personal in a way that most artists never get close to. X Factor is the Wyclef relationship rendered into melody. The kind of song you only write when you've already lost the argument and you know it. Lost Ones opens the album with a cold, composed dismantling of everyone who underestimated her. To Zion is...
Wait, what song have I heard from her? Oh no, I'm thinking of Erykah Badu. I'm tripping, yeah. I thought they was the same person, I ain't gonna lie, for a while.
About choosing to have her son against medical advice that told her otherwise. A decision she made on faith alone. Fam, she put every open wound she had onto that record and somehow made it sound effortless.
I had something to say, you know, and I wanted to make sure that it reached the people. I didn't want it to go over the heads of people.
August 25th, 1998. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill drops. First week sales, 422,000 copies. The highest debut numbers ever recorded for a female artist at that point. The first female rap album that would go on to be certified diamond. And then February 1999 arrives and takes the whole thing to another level entirely. The 41st Grammy Awards. Lauryn Hill walks out of that ceremony with 5 trophies. Album of the Year, Best New Artist, Best R&B Album, Best R&B Song, and Best R&B Vocal Performance. No rap.
Nah. She wiped out the competition? Dang. That's crazy. She hurt, I ain't gonna lie.
Rapper, male or female, had ever won Album of the Year before. She does it on her first solo attempt, with an album she largely made by herself in the aftermath of a public breakup and a group collapse. The whole room knows they're watching something historic. She's on the cover of Time magazine. Every major outlet in the world wants a piece of her. The girl who won Amateur Night at the Apollo at 13 is now the most celebrated artist on the planet, fam. The arc from East Orange to that Grammy stage is the kind of story that gets turned into movies. But 2 months before that ceremony, something else had already landed, a lawsuit.
She presented that project as if she was the sole writer, producer, executive producer on that album, when she actually had help. She actually worked with other people to make that project.
4 producers who worked on Miseducation, collectively known as New Arc, file a complaint claiming they wrote significant portions of the album she just swept the Grammys with. The celebration and the legal threat arrive almost in the same breath. Lauryn is standing at the absolute peak of her career, and underneath it, the ground is already shifting. What nobody expects is what she does next. Around 2000, Lauryn Hill starts pulling back.
And so here I am, descending this hill, and everybody's like, where you going? You know, we're supposed to be on the top of the hill.
Declining film roles, and these aren't small offers. She passes on Dreamgirls and The Matrix, canceling interviews, going quiet in a way that the industry doesn't have a script for, because artists at her level simply don't do this. Sony installs a private recording studio in her home and pours millions into a follow-up album. The machine keeps running. Lauryn steps away from the controls. She later frames it as a choice, family over fame, her sanity over the industry's timeline.
She wasn't selling her soul. That's what it is. She wasn't selling her soul.
So what I realized is, you know what? I can't create and not live. I can't be in this vacuum of, you know, of creativity without life.
But people around her at the time describe someone who is genuinely suffocated by everything the success brought with it.
She just felt uninspired. This is a woman who she has to feel inspired to create, you know? And if she doesn't feel inspired, she's not going to create.
The label pressure, the lawsuit, the weight of being the most celebrated woman in hip-hop while your personal life has been pulled apart and reassembled in public. That's a lot to carry, fam. The New Arc lawsuit settles quietly in 2001 for approximately $5 million. Lauryn pays it and says nothing publicly. Sony is out millions more in unreleased recording costs. The follow-up album the entire industry is holding its breath for never arrives, at least not in any form anyone recognizes. What arrives instead shocks everybody.
These are brand new songs that very few people have heard. Very much about, you know, what I've been going through.
July 2001. Lauren walks into an MTV Unplugged taping. No hits, no band, no production. Just her, an acoustic guitar, and whatever she needs to say. She's pregnant again. She performs entirely new material, stops between—
Wait, who? Wyclef span back? Hold on, wait. They're leaving too many details. I'm trying to follow it up. I'm trying to follow.
Between songs to deliver long, spoken word passages about the music industry, about spirituality, about what fame strips from a person when you're not paying attention. Rolling Stone calls it a public breakdown. Some fans don't know what to do with it. Others say it's the most honest they've ever seen a superstar be on camera.
This album was live, raw, unfiltered, and she just spoke from her heart and spoke from the place where she wrote these songs from.
It gets released as an album in May 2002, and one of its tracks, Mystery of Iniquity, gets sampled by Kanye West on All Falls Down 2 years later, quietly earning Lauren a writing credit and royalties on one of the biggest records of the decade. Even in her most raw—
Wait, for real? Wait, hold on. We gotta listen to that. Hold on. Wait a minute. 'Cause now I'm interested. What's it? Lauryn Hill, Kanye sample.
Review copy for Entertainment Weekly.
What you say? I eat hell boogie. Remember they used to call you that?
Wait, so what's the song? Hold on. Master. Oh, Mystery. What's it? Hold on. Let me lock in there. Lauryn Hill. Mystery, baby.
It's the mystery of misery.
That's crazy. I did not know that was Lauryn Hill. Now you can make samples out of anything. And that was Kanye's top 5 song all time. Crazy.
Unpolished moment, she's still creating things that other artists build careers on. Then December 2003, Lauren performs a Christmas concert at the Vatican and uses that platform to publicly call out the Catholic Church's handling of its sexual abuse scandals.
Au cours de performances, Madame Hill a fait allusion à des cas d'abus sexuels sur des enfants par des prêtres aux États-Unis. Dieu a été témoin de la corruption de ses dirigeants, de l'exploitation et des abus commis par le clergé, a-t-elle notamment déclaré.
In front of the Pope's representatives on Christmas, fam, the backlash from conservative media is immediate and loud. Lauren doesn't walk a single word of it back. The group she walked away from is about to come calling though, and for a moment, it looks like everything might find its way back together. 2004, the Fugees briefly reunite for Dave Chappelle's block party in Brooklyn, and the crowd goes absolutely wild.
Hey yo, a battle is a battle, but a battle's not a battle if your snake doesn't rattle. Here's my style, it's always a reptile. It's new is in new now, new is in new child.
The chemistry on stage is still there. Lauren, Wyclef, and Pras performing together like the last 7 years didn't happen. Fans who thought this group was gone forever start believing again. The following June, they perform at the BET Awards, and the reaction was the same. A full reunion tour gets announced, and the internet loses its mind. Then it falls apart. A European tour collapses before it even starts, and both Wyclef and Pras go public with their frustration, pointing directly at Lauren, her demands, her lateness, her unwillingness to commit to the schedule.
Anytime you ever hear Lauryn Hill doing the show, it follows by, and she was this amount of time late.
Lauren tells USA Today that if she makes music now, it'll only be for her children. The reunion that hip-hop had been waiting on since 1997 dies quietly.
I like that, though. Tell your little son, daughter, yo, come listen to mommy sing. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. That could be their lullabies. They grow up on that. Then the music flows with the family. She know what she was doing. She know what she was doing. She a smart woman.
Quietly in a hotel lobby somewhere in Europe, fam. This pattern, the near comeback, the excitement, the collapse, becomes the defining rhythm of everything that follows. And then the situation gets significantly more serious than canceled tour dates. In June 2012, Lauryn Hill gets indicted on federal tax evasion charges.
5-time Grammy Award winner, Miss Lauryn Hill, is charged with failing to file 3 years of income tax with the IRS.
She failed to report approximately $1.8 million in earnings between 2005 and 2007. The woman who bodied 5 Grammys in one night, who turned down The Matrix, who the entire industry spent a decade waiting on, is now sitting in a federal courtroom in Newark with the IRS going in on her. She pleads guilty in January 2013, and in her statement to the court, she goes off about systemic injustice, describing herself as an artist who had been exploited by a machine she refused to keep feeding. The feds ain't trying to hear none of that. After paying back $970,000, she gets sentenced to 3 months in Danbury Federal Prison, Connecticut.
This hill got... Even if you pay... Damn, so they took her bread and they put her... Damn! Nah, that disrespectful. I ain't gonna lie. You probably just get sentenced for... So each month was a year of tax. Dang. So if you make a lot of money, hold on. She didn't do her write-offs? I've been learning about taxes lately. That's why I know these terms, but never mind.
Sentenced to 3 months of imprisonment to be followed by 1 year of probation. And during that 1 year of probation, she'll have 3 months of house arrest. She also
house arrest. Oh no. Okay, that's kind of OD. She's not even a criminal. That.
The $60,000 fine.
She does her time, gets released early to home confinement in October 2013, and walks back out into a music landscape that has completely moved on without her. What follows is the era that tests even her most ride-or-die fans, fam. Showing up 90 minutes late to her own concerts, rearranged set lists mid-show, whole tours getting canceled, people buying tickets hoping to see the woman who made Miseducation and walking out heated. The gap between the legend and the reality keeps widening, but the legend refuses to die. April 2024, Lauryn Hill walks out at Coachella as a surprise guest, and the crowd erupts like it's 1999 all over again.
But you'd rather make it
Wyclef joins her on stage, and for a moment, fam, just for a moment, it looks like the real thing. The Fugees, 30 years deep, back where they belong. The whole crowd losing their minds in the California desert. It feels like a genuine second chapter finally arriving. That feeling lasts about 4 months. By August, a full Fugees reunion tour gets canceled days before the first show is supposed to happen. Pras comes out swinging, drops a diss track targeting Lauryn directly, then files a lawsuit accusing her of mismanaging tour funds.
So there is no love lost in the group, the Fugees, because Pras Michelle, one of the founding members, is suing Miss Lauryn Hill for fraud and breach of contract.
Lauryn fires back publicly and disputes every single claim. The same cycle that's been running since 2005 is still running in 2024, just with more lawyers involved. Then February 2026, the Grammy Awards. Lauryn Hill walks onto that stage to lead the In Memoriam tribute. First time she's been on a Grammy stage since she swept it in 1999, and performs with Wyclef beside her like none of the lawsuits and diss tracks and canceled tours ever happened. The entire room stands up.
That's professional. I ain't like, you gotta give her credit, bro. She's still putting up with people that really had no good intent for her, but for the sake of music, for the love of music, she still... Dang, that's crazy.
7 years of chaos, silence, prison, and comebacks that keep falling apart, and she still commands that room like nobody else alive. I gotta keep it 100 with y'all. Lauryn Hill is the most gifted and most self-destructive figure hip-hop has ever produced. Sometimes in the same sentence, Miseducation stands alone because it was made by someone who had already lost everything she thought she wanted and had nothing left to protect. No group, no relationship, no safety net, just raw talent and open wounds, and she turned all of it into something that 30 years later, nobody has come close to touching.
He understood that it was going to be landmark, but I don't think I understood to what degree other people would really be deeply impacted by what was done.
What came after is a complicated, frustrating, deeply human story of a woman who never found a way to peacefully coexist with what she created. The prison sentence, the canceled shows, the lawsuits with the people she built her legacy with, none of it erases what she put into that album. But none of it is easy to watch either.
What never gets lost in any of it, though, is Zion.
The child she chose to have when everyone around her said don't. The decision that became To Zion. The song that told the world exactly who she was underneath all of it. He's an adult now, watching his mother still stop rooms when she walks into them. Hip-hop has given us legends, but Lauryn Hill is something rarer than that. An artist whose greatest work came out of her worst moment and whose story still isn't finished. Check out our other videos and
Brady just put me on. I might go listen to one of her songs later. I might take a deep dive. That's tough.